All right, we are now live. Looks like everywhere. I see Mad Rock, I see Katy Country, I see Mad Rock, Katy Country. Good. All right, so here we are. Our preview here. It's been a fun little experience here getting everybody on here. So we're doing our Battle of the Axe preview. This is going to be, we're going to have some fun with this, because, of course, Mad Rock here is the official radio home for the Sherman Bearcats. And Zach?
Yeah, the Yellow Jackets are on 93.1 Katy Country. And, Dave, the funny part about this whole dynamic is that, of course, I work on the radio station, flagship station of the Denison Yellow Jackets, but my kids go to Sherman ISD.
They do.
You have a similar situation too, Dave.
I do. I struggle every year because, of course, I'm on Mad Rock, and this is the official radio home of the Sherman Bearcats, but my wife works for Denison ISD. So it's like a house divided kind of situation. It's like when my wife's in the room, go Yellow Jacket. When everybody's like, go Bearcat. It's one of those funny things that we have to deal with. So we have some very special guests on with us that we're going to bring on the screen here in just a little while because honestly, you and I, Zach, we don't know a whole lot about football. So it's like when you got to talk about football stuff, you got to bring on the voices of the Bearcats and the voice of the Yellow Jackets, right? So I don't know. And Jay Lindly, of course, he's like on vacation, right? So his connection keeps getting kind of jacked up on here. So we'll bring him on when he gets back. But we've got Lynn Burkhead. Hey, Lynn.
Hey, guys. How are you? I want to tell you there is no problem in the Burkhead household about loyalty.
I imagine from what I see in the background, there's no question about what side you're on.
I was a 1984 graduate. All three kids graduated. Yeah. My wife retired from the DISD. You cut us, we bleed black and gold.
All right. Now, Jay, you're on vacation, so you keep cutting out because you're at a beach right now.
Hey, Willie, what's up?
This is my Romo Witten. This is my Romo Witten Cabo moment, Lynn.
What a beard. You win the prize for the quarantine beard, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
So guys,
I have a question, and I know we wanted to talk about the game 1 week from tonight. This has to be the I would guess the strangest Battle of the Axe game, right? Just because of what's going on with the COVID restrictions and all that, and everything having been moved back a month.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Jay and I talked. I don't know, not every day, but a lot. Jay and I give each other a lot of grief around this time of the year, but we're very good friends and have been for many, many years. And there were a lot of times I'm not sure either one of us thought we were going to actually get there. And, we're still a week out. I'll believe we're playing the game when the ball is in the air.
At this point, you guys are what? I mean, because normally we would have been, about 4 games in by now?
Yeah, we would have been we'd be going into week 4 by this point in time. And I'm with Lynn. I mean, we're still a week out. To me, it's a 1 week at a time type ordeal this year.
Yeah, and for good reason. A lot of people they're not as nerdy about football as Jay and I are, and we know our two respective programs very well. And the last time this happened was 1918. And if you look at the Denison Yellow Jacket record book, you'll notice that they played games in 1916, 1917, 1919, and 1920. But there's a glaring gap in 1918. They did not play because of the influenza pandemic that swept through Grayson County and the rest of the world. And I think the Bearcats, Jay, only played 3 games that year. So it's not that this hasn't happened before, but it's been 100 years and nobody was around.
And the funny thing about that, Lynn, is until you started researching it, I always assumed World War I was the reason games weren't being played in 1918. So, there's a lot of – obviously this game has a lot of history, and then when you look at what we're going through currently as a society, and then you realize that, basically 102 years ago, the Sherman-Denison game wasn't played for this very reason. And – to me, I'm happy to just get to this point. That's where I'm at. I just want sports. I want something that's as normal as we can have it and as safe as we can have it. And I'm just happy to be here at this point.
Yeah, guys, we've talked a lot. I mean, obviously, this is the 21st year that I've done play-by-play on Katy Country for the Yellow Jackets, and my 30-something year overall. Being a color guy and a sideline guy previously, and Jay's been doing it a long time too. This isn't about us. It's not even about the adults and the fans and the moms and the dads. This is ultimately, in my book, about the seniors. They've looked forward to this season, to this game, their whole lives. And the thought this spring and summer that they might not be able to play their senior Battle of the Axe game or their senior seasons that was really difficult to stomach. And we believed, we hoped, we prayed there would be a path forward to be able to safely do this. And thankfully, the UIL, the TEA, the Sherman ISD, and the Denison ISD have found that path forward, and we're 7 nights out.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, we've talked about this off air, that a lot more people are going to be tuning in to Mad Rock to hear the Sherman Bearcats this year, and a lot more people are going to be tuning in to Katy Country for the Yellow Jackets this year because of the UIL restrictions of 50% capacity in the stands. So they're going to rely on the two of you to be able to give them, to paint that picture of what's happening at this big game.
Hey, Big Dave,
I'm going to tell you this. For those Yellow Jacket fans, you need to crank the dial back just a little bit if there's any potential of a score, because the whole stick it in the end zone is going to be blaring through.
Hey, so since you're talking smack already, Big Dave, I'm sorry to do this to you, but next Thursday night, if you don't have a ticket to the game, I understand the city of Denison is having a COVID-19 safety watch party. They're going to have everybody socially distanced 6 feet away, and I think you got to have masks and everything. But that's going to be in Forest Park. You know who's going to be blaring over the speaker there during that, Mr. Lindly? It's not going to be Mad Rock 102.5. It's going to be 93.1 Katy Country. Go, brother.
That's right.
The funny thing about that is, though, that means they're going to get your high-pitched teenage girl voice for like 5 hours.
Hey, well, it would be that or get the Wolfman Jack Gravel voice for 5 hours.
Now, Lynn, I appreciate your comments, though. I will say that most people can just go to the Mad Rock website on their phone and have their earbuds in and listen to us anyway. So.
This is true.
Now, the other cool thing is that you guys are going to do not a 30-minute pregame show for this year's Battle of the Axe. We've expanded that. You guys were like, hey, can we do an hour? I'm like, absolutely. This is a big game. So you guys are both on Katy Country and on Mad Rock going to be doing an hour-long pregame. That's amazing.
Yeah, Jay and I both agree. There's just a lot of water under the bridge. I mean, in a normal game, you're going to set the day, the night, the setting, the importance of that particular game in your pregame show. We call it the countdown to kickoff on 93.1. There's just a lot that's happened this year. There was realignment. A lot of us mistakenly thought realignment would be the major storyline of the offseason. How little did we know in February? And, of course, you've got the coronavirus outbreak and the responses of the Denison ISD and the Sherman ISD, that you've got a timeline of this stopped, that started, this went sideways, and how we got to a game being played on September the 24th. By the way, it's on Thursday night for the first time since 1951. It used to be played on Thursday Thanksgiving for like a 10-year period from 41 to 51. This is the first time in generations that there's been a Thursday night Battle of the Axe.
Should definitely be weird. Well, right now that we've kind of talked about that kind of stuff, anything you guys want to cover? I'm not even sure what, is that like a boat where Jay is? What is that?
Got a groundskeeper back here.
I'm going to mute him in a second. But anyway,
I may move inside.
Yeah. Anything we haven't covered just as the general Battle of the Axe yet, because we want to do some very special segments with each of the schools.
Well, before Willie rudely interrupted us, this obviously is uncharted territories for all of us, and I just got to say I'm grateful to both Denison ISD and Sherman ISD for their the way they take care of their workers and their students. Grateful to Coach Martinez and Sherman and Coach Rogers and Denison for how they've conducted their team and their team business through this. I don't think there's probably two finer gentlemen to lead their programs through the the craziness of a pandemic than those two gentlemen, and we're privileged to have them in this area.
Yeah, now since Denison is actually the host of the Battle of the Axe this year, we thought it only fair to have the Sherman Bearcats up first when we were talking about the game. So I'm going to say goodbye right now to Zach. You can remove yourself off the screen. I'll get.
Hey, real quick, Willie, before I go, this is just for you. This is just for you.
Wow.
Right there.
All right.
And I'll say this too, though. There's a lot of challenges getting this game off, and with Denison having to be the host of this game, I mean, kudos to them, because it having to operate at 50% capacity. There's a lot of different moving parts to this, and I mean, I think obviously Sherman could do it, but it just happens to be it falls on Denison's lap this year, and so kudos to them for doing the planning and getting it to this point.
So, Jay, why don't we say we change the color scheme a little bit to some maroon and white? How about that? You ready for that?
That works for me. That's a lot better than that ugly yellow and black.
Yeah, you're not biased or anything, though, are you? No, not at all. All right, so
it's kind of like that whole hook 'em horns thing, Dave.
Yeah.
You know, Lynn a while ago threw out the horns. Here's the thing about orange. Orange is the color of convicts. So for every UT fan out there, just remember that Boomer Sooner, baby.
Goodness gracious, just couldn't resist. All right, so we've got Coach J.D. Martinez up here. We've got Superintendent Dr. David Hicks. It looks like Dr. Hicks, you're muted. Mute yourself. That would be great. And Kimberly Simpson, the Director of Communications for Sherman ISD. Thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Glad to be here.
Absolutely. So, Jay, I'm kind of going to start off here with Kimberly, just kind of talking about a couple of things first before we get into talking with the coach and stuff. That way we can let Dr. Hicks and Kimberly get back to their work, and then we'll let you talk some football here. So, Kimberly, you and I were kind of emailing earlier this morning. You know, there's so much going on with the Battle of the Axe. So, what is Sherman ISD? What is Sherman High School doing when it comes to all of the Battle of the Axe activities?
So, you know, this year is going to be a little different, but it's still the same spirit of BOTA. We are doing our annual canned food drive that is going on right now. And the good thing about COVID-19 is that it kind of brings about new traditions. And so now you can donate online. So we are asking everyone to go to www.shermanisd.net/BOTA. And there is a link that says canned food. And you can click on that link and you can donate money to support this cause. So, you know, we're still accepting canned foods in front of our schools, but because we don't have enough, we don't really want individuals coming inside of the buildings, obviously because of COVID. You can easily donate money toward this wonderful cause, and all of the money and cans benefit Master Key Ministry. So a little different this year, but hey, it's convenient. It's a little bit easier to donate. So we're definitely looking forward to everyone supporting us in that manner.
Now, one of the cool things we have about this particular platform we're using to do this broadcast, this live stream today, is the fact that people can make comments on Facebook and YouTube, and we can bring those up on the screen if they have specific questions and things. And you see the little scroll thing down there. So Ken Daniels said 2020 year of the Bearcats. So we've already got a fan up there that's ready to go with this. Now, Dr. Hicks, I have a question for you and Kimberly both. Now, one of the cool things that I know you guys have is a really cool app on the phone, the Sherman Athletics app, where you guys are actually going to be doing video streams of all of the games. That's a special thing that the UIL has allowed this year. So all of the games will be on that app, and people can watch from home or wherever the actual game broadcast, and they're using Jay Lindly's play-by-play from Mad Rock for the audio. It's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. You know, our Bearcat fans love to hear Jay Lindly every year, and we're going to have everything on our app. So if you go to your app store on Google Play or the Apple Store, you can easily download it. It's called Sherman Athletics. Sherman Bearcat Athletics app. And all you have to do is just type in Sherman, and you can easily download it. Once you download it, I'm not sure if people can see it, but there is a little button there that says video, and you will click on that video on the night of BOTA, and you'll be able to look at the live stream and hear Jay's commentary on the game. So this is another result of COVID-19. So this is something that we'll definitely keep for the years to come, but it's been brought about because of the pandemic. So, things happen and we're going to adjust, but this is one of the positives that's going to come out of it. So we hope that people will download it.
Me too. Yeah, absolutely.
See, the good news for everyone is I'm not actually on camera. You just hear me. So
that's great. So, Dr. Hicks, I just wanted to say to you just a big thank you just for all of because I know that you and every superintendent across the state, over the summer, I'm pretty sure you guys never slept because of all the conversations and meetings and things that had to go on behind the scenes. To just have school be in session, to just be able to have sports even happen to begin with, all of the stuff. So I just wanted to take a moment to thank you for all the work that I know you and your team have had to do to even make this Battle of the Axe this year possible.
Well, thank you very much, Big Dave, but it's really not about anything that we've done. Dr. Scott and I have worked together very carefully, closely, and our focus has always been how do we make this BOTA experience special for our kids and for our fans, and what do we need to do to make it happen? And the work has really been done by everybody on both sides of the ball, if you will. All of the team members in Denison and in Sherman that are getting the work done to keep it a safe experience and something that our kids will remember.
So I'm going to ask you, Dr. Hicks, do you have a prediction for the game?
Well, of course I do.
All right.
And Bearcats are coming out on top.
Absolutely. All right. Kimberly, what about you?
Bearcats, by the way.
Well, any specific idea of scores for the
Well, JD, what should I throw out? You tell me. I kind of put him on the spot. I'm just going to say this. Bearcats are going to have more than the Yellow Jackets.
Yeah.
How about
That's a safe
35-17? That sounds like a good
Yeah.
number to me.
35-17? That works for me, as long as we're on top. Hey,
I was going to go like old school Saturday Night Live and say 136 to -7. That's what I'm going to. It's like something like that. Well, Dr. Hicks and Kimberly, I appreciate both of you coming on here today. I'm going to let you guys get back to your normal day and your meetings and all the stuff I know you have coming up, and then we'll let Jay and Coach Martinez talk a little football. Okay, you guys have a good one.
Yeah, Dave, thanks for having us.
thank you for having me.
All right, Jay, now it's all you, man. You want to talk the football. I'm just going to sit here and listen.
Well, first, and Coach Martinez, you and I talked a little bit about this, and you played for an act before at your former job, but this is obviously a different game. How much different is this rivalry from anything that you've been a part of as a player and as a coach?
Well, it's the original, so nothing can beat the original. So the opportunities that I've had before, of course, playing for the Axe, and was when we were at Marcus, and we would play Louisville for the Battle of the Axe. Little did I know at the time that was really just a small part of it. It was really take two, because some people from Sherman went to work at Louisville, and they brought that Battle of the Axe from Sherman ISD in Denison to Louisville ISD. So it's a great tradition that started here in Texoma, and it's spread out throughout the state. And it's the best rivalry in the state. There's no doubt.
And some people may not know, but you were an offensive lineman, Division I college, played at University of North Texas. As a coach, when you go out for this particular game, do you still get those type of butterflies that you would get as a player at the college level?
I'd like to try to tell myself and tell everybody, no, I don't. But you do. I've told myself, I've been in bigger crowds. I've been in front of 80,000 and whatever. It didn't really matter. And I've played in front of, as far as playing it and also coaching in it, state semifinal, all the great things. But right when it's about to kick off, all of a sudden everything just goes and it just locks in. It doesn't matter if we're playing at Denison or in Sherman, just the feeling of knowing that you're about to play in something that's been going on for almost over 120 years. How awesome is that? I mean, so I'm just very humbled to be part of it.
Hey, I appreciate the blunt honesty. This will be the 13th that I've called, and I still get butterflies. So I'm right there with you every time. When you look at this game, and of course, we've had some unknowns in this game the last couple of years because now it's the first week of the season versus mid-season or at the end of the season. but now you throw Corona into the mix. How much more does that add to the unknown going into this game?
Quite a bit, to be honest with you. Not having the kids since March 6th, you lose a little bit of your culture because you're not able to go through and do the skills. You're not able to go through and do the lineman challenges in the summer or 7-on-7. So there's a lot of things that you really just don't know about your team yet. So the more that we can work with our kids, as soon as August 3rd rolled around and we started school on August 17th, and UIL allowing us to be able to have that hour after school has been huge for us. But there's still a lot of questions out there that we're going to try to figure out tonight in our scrimmage versus Princeton.
Of course, there are some things we do know. Tate Bethel back as your trigger man. You've got Benji Amabu, Sean Husband. You look at those guys on the offensive side. Benia coming back on the defensive side of the ball, kind of the middle leader, if you will, of that linebacking core. Talk a little bit about those guys and how important it is in a weird year for those guys to step up to the plate and lead.
No, it's going to be huge, and thank goodness those kids are back, because we would really be in a pickle if we didn't have those guys. But they're just, first of all, they're great kids. They're great young men. They're going to be successful in life because of the type of character that they have and the leadership that they bring to the table. So we're really going to need those guys to step up early, lead, and tell those younger guys, hey, this is the way we do it here in Sherman. This is the way we practice. This is the type of effort that we give. And this is also the way we act when we're not on the field. So it's going to be huge for those guys to be able to step up early.
A moment ago, you were talking about, your college career and being able to step out in front of a crowd of 80,000. I've called this game with over, with five figures in the stands, anywhere from 10 to 12,000 people. You guys, when the game's at Sherman, you put additional seating on the field. Same thing goes for Denison. Obviously, COVID, it's a reduction. So do you think it may be a little bit weird going out there for that particular game at 50% capacity?
To be honest, I really don't know. I think, the game is the game, and we're going to play on the field for sure. But the electricity that is in the stadiums, and it doesn't matter if it's at Munson Stadium or Bearcat Stadium, the electricity is there, and the crowd is a big factor for that. So I am going to be curious to see how that plays out and what it looks like. But at the same part of it too, we know what we're there to do. We're there to play a football game, so the focus will be on the field. But it'll be interesting to see what the atmosphere is like.
Of course, you and I have a ton of conversations throughout the season. And as Dave alluded to a while ago, we've got an extended pregame show this year for the Battle of the Axe. So I know you're busy. You got a scrimmage to get to. I know they've got to talk to the bad guys. So we'll kick it over to them and let them go. I'll let you get to work, Coach. As always, appreciate it, and see you next week.
You bet. Thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, we want to definitely say thank you to our sponsors of Sherman Bearcat football on Mad Rock this year. Got them here on the screen with us, just so that everybody is aware. And, of course, you can see the entire schedule of all the games that we're covering here on the website there at madrock1025.com. But we want to thank Knight Furniture, First United Bank, Parkway Buick GMC, ER at Sherman, Waldo Funeral Home, Jeff's Auto Sales, Grace and Collin Electric Cooperative, and Whataburger, our sponsors this year for Sherman Bearcats. So I know, Jay, you're gonna have to basically have all those memorized over the next several weeks, aren't you?
I got a cheat sheet.
Yeah, I know you do. That's awesome. Well, Coach, appreciate that. So again, as the official radio home of Sherman Bearcat football, go Bearcats.
Yes, thank you, guys. Go Cats.
Hey, Coach, just so you know, on vacation, man, I'm representing down here. I've got it down here. So
hey, you better be. You got that swag going.
Awesome. All right.
Have a good time.
Appreciate it, guys. And we'll now going to switch things back over here. Going to take Jay and Coach Martinez off. We're going to bring back, of course, Zach Grantham. We're going to bring back Lynn Burkhead and Coach Rogers, which I think is hilarious. And you'll see that here in just a second. Whenever I switch this over here to the Denison Yellowjackets.
There you go.
Yeah. So as I take this off of here, and I'll go away here in a little while and let Zach do his thing here. But I just think it's funny that I don't know what Coach Rogers is doing right now, but he's actually got the picture as his generic picture of the axe in the background, which I thought
he had no idea that was it. He had no idea that was it. I had to tell him that before we got on.
So Chad, I've got a question. Which one was that? Was that 1 or 3 or 5 or 7 or?
I don't know. Hey, when Jay started saying the bad guys were coming, I just went off and turned on my picture. So I don't know who the bad guys were.
See, after all these years in radio, he forgot you've got the last word and the last mic.
That's exactly what I was thinking, because y'all gonna let me go last. And hey, look, Dave just left us. See?
He couldn't take the heat.
Hey, you know what, Zach? Before Lynn starts talking all these numbers and stuff, I'm gonna steal a little bit of his thunder, okay?
Okay.
All right. He said since Jay's been calling the games, it's 10-3.
Okay.
Because he's got 13 years of experience. So Lynn says he's 10. Get it?
Yeah, I get it.
I think we know the problem right now. And he's wearing a Willie Robertson beard.
Yeah. And he can't get back on here and defend himself.
He can't. No. Thank you, Zach.
Hey, I will tell you guys that I know y'all are probably antsy to get going from the football side of things. But then, Lynn, I know you're very excited always to cover Denison Yellow Jacket football. But I know y'all are probably a little jealous right now that all the other local schools are getting to play on Friday nights, and y'all have to wait 1 month.
It's been strange.
I think it's been that they've, what we've been able to do is watch what they're doing and learn from them. We got some quality football programs around us that play a lot of quality with big games, with big crowds, and how do you handle that? And we've watched that because it's going to, we're anticipating what potentially would be a big crowd. It'll be different because of 50%, but 50% is not 50%, as we all know. So we've been able to watch that and watch some of their games, and I've got to, kind of experience something that you've never experienced before. So our kids are real antsy. They've gone and watched their friends play, and they're ready to play.
All right, well, Lynn, I'm going to turn it over to you, man, so you can talk some football with Coach Rogers. This will be the, I guess you would say, the countdown to kickoff preview show, right?
I think so. So, Chad, I know the last few years that you've been here, the first year of the Battle of the Axe, like so many coaches that come in, no matter which side they come in on, the Sherman side, the Denison side, like Coach Martinez was saying, it's not that there aren't other rivalries around the state. Heck, there's even some called the Battle of the Axe. But this is different. This is special. And I've always thought no matter which side you come in on, whether you're wearing maroon and white or black and gold, it takes 1 year to get one of these under your belt to where you at least understand what it means to the communities.
I think it took me 2 hours. The rest of the community told me what it was. Everywhere I went, they remind you of it. Both communities. It's such a unique thing that you can't find anywhere else. I've been in a big one, in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Mayfield and Las Cruces played. It would be on the ESPN highlights because it'd be 30,000 people watching, or 28,000. And we've been in Snyder versus Sweetwater that happened since the 20s, but there's nothing that's this close. It's like our kids say, it's like going to battle with your brother, going to battle with your family. And then for that 1 week, they get after it. And then there's lots of respect.
Hey, Andrew Means there.
Yeah. I got a little flash in there, huh? They got a lot of respect between both programs, I think. And our kids, they run together, they hang out together. I mean, with this, what we went through since March, you would see our kids with Sherman kids, Sherman Denison kids together, so, it's unique. But as far as the rivalry, it's just huge. It's statewide, it's nationwide, and it just gets, and that's because of the importance in both communities.
I just love how unique it is, though, that the fact that you may have, somebody, their spouse went to Sherman and they graduated from Denison, or vice versa. And it's just because the towns are so close together. It just makes this, I know it's the oldest rivalry in the state of Texas, but I don't know if this dynamic, if there's anything like this in the country, just because how close everybody is. And most of the time you got Denison Yellow Jackets and Sherman Bearcats, they're all going to church together on Sundays.
No, that's correct. There's a story, Will Gillespie that plays for us. He'll probably be one of our starting offensive linemen. His great granddad, maybe another great in there too, but it's at least his great granddad was on the first district championship in 1922, and they had to beat Sherman to win the district championship. So that's the stories that you don't hear that are in the history of this game. So, I mean, there's all kinds of intangibles that make it unique. So, but that's one of them, is because I'd love to see who has the most generations to play in this.
Yeah.
Us or them or whoever.
Zach, we were kind of goofing there at the beginning of our segment and talking about how many times that the Yellow Jackets have won. The truth is this series dates back to at least 1901. And I say at least. Jason De La Rosa has researched as far back as he can. I've researched as far back as I can. Bob Sullins, who used to be on the Bearcat broadcast, he did a lot of research in times gone by. 1901 is kind of where it stops. So we don't know for sure that there weren't games played prior to that. We just know for certain that there were games played all the way back to 1901. It's possible they played in 1900. It's possible they played in 1899. What's interesting is when the first newspaper accounts, which, by the way, both newspaper offices burned down at some point in the first 20 years of the 20th century. So records are pretty skimpy, in that first 20 years. But the first newspaper stories don't refer to that game as the first game between Sherman and Denison. So it's even possible that they played more than the ones we know about, which is 122. But in that 122 years, they've played every year since 1930 without interruption. There have been a lot of streaks. Sherman historically dominated the rivalry in the early days. They're the bigger town. They're the county seat, and they dominated the rivalry in the early days. The 1940s, though, Denison began to really sink its teeth into the Battle of the Axe. It was not called the Battle of the Axe then, and they got an upper hand, actually had their first undefeated team in 1942, had another great team in 43, went to the state semifinals in 1948, and it was the very next year that everybody calls it the Battle of the Axe, and that's not technically correct because the trophy is known as Ye Old Battle Axe, and I know Charlie Means and Will Kane of Fox and Friends and former ESPN fame from Sherman, they got into a little Twitter conversation a few years ago about how you spelled axe, and I popped off to Will Kane, who doesn't know me from Adam. Hey, we just got to forgive you for not knowing how to spell it because you haven't seen it in a few years. And everybody from my side thought that was funny. Everybody from the other side, of course, did not. But it's actually technically known, and it says so on the trophy on the side, as the Jack Barker Award. It was a Denison businessman who didn't like the way the rivalry was going. We're having fun today. Back then, they were having more than fun. They were vandalizing and creating some issues and problems. And he said, I know, I'm going to give him a trophy to play for. I always wish I could ask him, if you wanted to tone things down, why did you have an axe for your trophy? But the first year it was played for was 1941. The Bearcats won it, and we've been tussling forward ever since. It's been a very streaky series. Sherman goes on a run. Denison's going on a run. It's been a very, very streaky series. But the one thing that's never changed is when you get your calendar every year, one of the first dates you put on it is the Battle of the Axe.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just like, the cool thing about it is not only do Sherman and Denison folks talk about it, but everybody here in North Texas and Southern Oklahoma, I think they also circle that date on the calendar. Don't y'all think?
I think so. It was cool to see Fox Southwest last year, cover the game and show the rest of the state what we have up here. And, the folks in Sherman, Coach Martinez, Dr. Hicks and company, they did such a great job in helping put that on over there at Bearcat Stadium. Bearcat Stadium, an iconic WPA stadium, Progress Administration or something like that back in the 40s, and it's such a historic and iconic place, and has seen a lot of battles down through the years. This year, Denison gets to host it at the new and improved Munson Stadium, but we were just as proud of our iconic Munson Stadium, down through the years before the new digs got built. It doesn't matter where you play. They used to play in a pasture basically at the fairgrounds on the west side of town near Loy Lake. That was where the early games were played. And then they played at Forest Park at what was called Munson Field. And then both Bearcat Stadium and Munson Stadium were built, I believe, in the late 30s. And the game switched to those two stadiums where it's been held ever since. But I think you could find a parking lot somewhere and we'd be ready to go. If that was the way we got to play COVID-19 pandemic Battle of the Axe football, a parking lot, we're in. Let's do it.
All right, Coach Rogers, a question for you. I know that Big Dave with Mad Rock, he asked this to J.D. Martinez as well. Do you think the electricity, the atmosphere of Battle of the Axe, do you think it's going to be different this time around just because of the 50% capacity at Munson Stadium?
No, I don't think it'll be different at all. When the lights come on, these kids are ready to play. They're looking across at somebody they want to beat and they work for. So I think that there'll be difference, but the game itself is going to feel the same because it's just an electric game. I mean, it's like once the lights hit on, the kids warm up, we're ready to go. So I mean, and both teams have a great fan base, great following. I think there's going to be excitement. The build-up's going to be different, I think, just because there's more media involved and social media and all that's going to be involved. So you got to embrace the buzz, and have a good time with it. That's what we do. Is we enjoy the week. Our kids practice. They know what's at stake. It's about us. It's not about who we play. We respect Sherman and their program. Coach Martinez does a fantastic job. We have all the respect in the world from them. There's a reason we don't scream. We don't taunt. We don't have to do all that stuff. We're not afraid. We're going to control what we can control and do what we're supposed to do, and we're going to have fun doing it. But we're also going to enjoy the game because it's a game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if anything, in 2020, we've learned just that ultimately football is not life, it's a game, and so many more things going on outside the game of football. Although I think the game of football helps our kids, our adults even deal with all that's going on. Coach, let's talk a little X's and O's right now. I know you've got to feel really confident about the Yellow Jackets in 2020. You've got so many of your players coming back on both sides of the ball. You've got Jadarian Price. Last time I checked, unless he's gotten one today, and who knows, maybe he has. I think 19 Division I offers from places like Ohio State and USC and my beloved University of Texas. By the way, Jay Lindly, Oklahoma hadn't come calling yet for J.D. Price. They should. I would be very happy to see J.D. go to some place like the University of Oklahoma. But you've got a lot more than J.D. You've got Asa Osborne. You've got Keeleon Vaughn. You've got Caleb Hebner. All he did last year is come in week 2 with 7 minutes to go. And in those 7 games in 7 minutes, he threw for the 8th best single season in Yellow Jacket history with nearly 1,300 yards passing. You've got quite an offense. You guys have, in your time, have scored 35 to 40 points a game. Certainly don't see that changing this year. At least I don't think so. You should see a lot of excitement on the offensive side of the ball, right?
Well, I think so, and that's what we've got to spend some time, and the planning time has been really good with the kids we got coming back. Their football IQ is extremely high, which is something that you take for granted sometimes. We got an offensive line that we're putting together. We've got to replace. Other than that, we got all the skill kids back. So, hopefully we picked up where we left off. The best part about this team is their character, just the way they treat each other. They're just outstanding young men, and that's what I'm proudest of at this moment. And I believe we're going to be a good football team. How good we're going to be is yet to be determined. It's one day at a time. That's something else we've learned in the last few months is that don't take any day for granted. Let's enjoy the time that we had together, because I think that's what they missed the most. That first day that we got to practice and all those kids came back in and just started just seeing each other. It was just that was unique for me, just to see them, and they couldn't really run up and hug each other, but it was unique. The big smiles and just getting to see each other, it was huge.
Yeah, a couple of more questions on the X's and O's, and I'm sure Zach is wanting to get us out of here. But defensively, everybody in Denison, I've referred to it as running back you down through the years. There's been so many great running backs. There's been some great quarterbacks like Jordan Taylor, a Super Bowl champion, and but the running backs have been just stellar, from Ray Taylor in the '84 championship season to Marcus Flemings in the quarterfinal season, Aaron Jackson, who went on to the University of Arkansas, the Robertson brothers, of course, Trey Lyday, DJ Jones, and now Jadarian Price. Even Denard Whitfield had a great campaign a number of years ago. You had some great running backs. You've had some great quarterbacks, Devin Blanton, Jordan Taylor, Eric Chavez, others who coaches for you now. Eric does. But every single time the Yellow Jackets have made some serious noise in the postseason, they've had what we call the great eras around here, the 84-85 group that went 29-1, the 87 through 89 that was a whisker away from state titles and lost to the eventual state titleists by 2 points, 3 points in the postseason, the 95, 6, and 7 run to the state finals against Lamarck, and of course 08 and 09. Every single time, while there were great offensive players in those eras, when I look back at the stats, it was really the defense that carried the freight to a great degree. I think you've got a really good defense this year. No,
we do. We got 9 guys back with a lot of experience. All the secondary guys are back, so that's impressive. And I'm anxious to see how much we've improved, how much have we grown. And that's going to be a good test for us with our scrimmage against Denton High. And then, obviously Sherman's got some skilled kids. They got all their skilled kids back too. I saw the highlights on Tate and how Tate was growing as a quarterback. And, that's going to be a great test for our defense, especially our secondary. And, they got a new running back. They got some running backs. So, it's going to be a good test for our defense right off the bat.
Yeah, Mr. Amabu and the new gentleman, I believe, from Kansas, they're going to be really good behind Tate Bethel, and he's got a plethora of wide receiver options at his disposal. They certainly are explosive and look good offensively. I think they had an all-district linebacker move in on the defensive side of the ball. So we know both offenses are going to be explosive. Points are going to be a premium that you're going to need to have a lot of. Defenses should be good, should be one of the determining factors. But I remember one of your long-ago predecessors, Marty Criswell, he used to say football is a game of 3 phases: offense, defense, and special teams. And the team that wins at least 2 of those 3 phases wins the game. What about the intangibles, the special teams? I know you've got a really dynamic return game, but you've also got a kicker that he is maybe by the end of the year going to be the best place kicker in Denison High School history.
Yeah, he sure can, and he works extremely hard at it and always have. Logan Voigt's pushing him too, because Logan Voigt's getting better and better, but Reese Stange, I call him rock star, because the bigger the moment, the bigger the smile. He just wants to go. So, and he's a kicker. You have that conversation on the field with him, and he is a kicker. So, some of mine and his conversations are he'll ask me a question. He's limited to how many questions he can ask a game, so he gets to ask 2. So I said, don't waste them. So we have a great relationship. But it is 3 phases, and if you look back at early games, especially rivalry games, the special teams is a major importance. It flipped the field for us the last couple of years with our punt return game, having the short field and being able to go for it on 4th down, if you remember the last couple of years. So it's been a huge, it's been our advantage. But that's why you got to work at it. And we got to continue to make one of those phases. We got to take the breaks when the breaks happen, and you got to make the breaks happen. So, I feel comfortable, feel really good about our special teams, feel good about our offense. I talked about their quarterback, and I'm pretty proud of our quarterback. I think we got an outstanding quarterback and leader. We've got 5 captains, and these kids are really following each other. I really, really feel good about it. I feel good about the season. Everything that I believe that they should represent and they should stand for, they do. With that being said, success is we can write it 100 million ways. How this season is going to be written is up to them. They're the ones going to remember it, and this game will go down in history. Regardless of the outcome, this game will be talked about, just like always. It'll be talked about in history. And that's what we told them. We don't spend a lot of time talking about this game to them, to our players. We talk about it early. And we enjoy the week. We enjoy the game of football, and our kids have fun. And don't forget it's a game.
Lynn, I think we're going to have to let Coach Rogers go. I think he has a scrimmage to get ready.
He does. So, Mr. Big Dave, he asked about a score, and I'm not going to put Coach Rogers on the spot. Here's my take. I like my team. I think my team's going to win, but I'm going to tell you at the end of the day, the fact that we've been able to find our way from March to this game on September the 24th, it's a win for Sherman and Denison, no matter what happens next Thursday night.
Yeah, I'm going to be real excited. I'm going to take a moment when they're playing the national anthem just to sit there and think about how much our community needs to play this game. Both communities, everybody in the area, our kids. It's just going to be an outstanding event that we get to have, and that our kids get to do it, because our kids have lost. They've lost a lot of stuff, but it's just going to be a lot of fun. Just that we get to have that game for our community.
Well, Coach Rogers, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon and for putting up with me. And then also thank you to Lynn Burkhead for joining us as well to keep us on the straight and narrow when it comes to talking Denison Yellow Jacket football. But like we said with Jay, Lynn, you're going to have to start memorizing these sponsors that we have for Denison Yellow Jacket football once again this year. First United Bank, Parkway Buick GMC, ER at Sherman, Destiny's Air, Jeff's Auto Sales, Grayson Collin Communications, F&I Pond, Charles Holder Insurance, Allen's Plumbing. And Lynn, before we let you go, Yellow Jackets are in the end zone. So what are you saying?
Well, I'm going to have a cheat sheet like Jay. I'm also going to have these that I don't think Jay needs just yet. But, I think Denison's offense is stellar. Caleb Huebner, I think, is one of the best quarterback prospects the Yellow Jackets have ever had. He was the district newcomer of the year last year. And everybody's talked about Jadarian Price the last few years, and deservedly so, and Asa Osborne. I'm going to tell you what, I think maybe at the end of the day, Caleb Huebner may end up being the best of them all. He is a fantastic young man and player that's got a lot of Fridays and a lot of Saturdays in front of him. So my score is Denison's going to win 40-20. That's been the average of the rivalry over the last several years. 40-20 Denison. I'm a homer. And when they score those 40 points, you're going to hear a lot of stick it in the end zone, put it on the scoreboard, touchdown Denison.
There you go. There you go. All right, Lynn, Coach Rogers, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Hey, we got a little Katy Country.
I do want to say one last thing. We don't mean to make light of what we're dealing with right now. This is a deadly serious time in our lives, and the Yellow Jacket community lost some longtime Yellow Jackets this week. 2 siblings passed away from COVID-19, and none of us are taking this lightly. We're excited to play this game, but at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's a game, and we're just thrilled that maybe there's a safe way for us to move forward and play this game and let these seniors get on the field at least one final time, and hopefully many, many more times this year. So I hope we didn't offend anybody by being excited about a football game in the middle of a pandemic.
No. Not at all. Well, Lynn, thank you so much for joining us. We're looking forward to the calls on Friday night. Coach Rogers, go do some scrimmages, okay?
Yes, sir. Hey, thank you, Zach. I appreciate your friendship.
I appreciate you too, man. And, of course, we're all excited about the Battle of the Axe once again this year. It's going to be at Munson Stadium, but because of the 50% capacity at Munson Stadium. Of course, it's going to be more important than ever that you hear Lynn Burkhead, Ed Meacham, Lance Sandmillen, and the entire Yellow Jacket crew on 93.1 Katy Country. Now, if you're a Sherman Bearcats fan, what you can do is listen to Mad Rock 102.5 for the coverage of the Battle of the Axe this year. So what I would like for you to do, share this on Facebook, share the YouTube link with your friends so that way they can see what's going on with the Sherman Bearcats and the Denison Yellow Jackets, as we are 1 week away from Battle of the Axe, which will be taking place at Munson Stadium. The Sherman Bearcats traveling so far to take on the Denison Yellow Jackets. So thank you so much for joining us today and being a part of the Battle of the Axe preview show.